Okay, I already started filming this video and for some reason it just corrupted randomly, so thank god I was only one book in just talking in this video. So let's try this again. Hi, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today we're doing my July reading wrap up. This has been the best month of the year since January because I finally had a 5 stars since January. And not just one, I've had 2 5 stars this month. And it's been the most books I've read in a month. I don't know what happened. I had like a holiday at the beginning of the month, and then I was unwell in the middle, and I did read a bit there, but also then I started the Marvel Cinematic Universe when I wasn't well, so actually I probably could have read more. Maybe I could have done 15 if I didn't do that, but never mind. I've got myself a vanilla matcha, and let's get into the books I read in July. Okay, I'm going to talk you through my stats first. So we'll get the reading journal. This month last month, I read 14 books, which equated to 5,661 pages. So the most I've read in a month this year so far. I had only one book under a 4 stars. So I had 1 2 stars, 11 4 stars, and 2 5 stars. Of those 14 books that I read, one of them was Japanese fiction. I had 8 romances, 2 dark romances, and 3 fantasies. And again, of those 14 books, 10 were paperbacks, 1 was a hardback, and 3 on Kindle. So I didn't just meet my goal of reading 2 Kindle books this month, I beat it by 1. So yeah, we did have 1 DNF this month, and I'll talk about that first. So this book was picked by my TBR jar as, like, I picked this specific book title out of the jar for July. And that is The Sun and the Void by Gabriela Romero Lacruz. I've had this book for a little while. It sounded really good. So this one is a sapphic fantasy, and I thought I don't see a lot of sapphic fantasies, so I thought I'd pick it up. A lot of the book is based on Venezuelan folklore, I believe, when it comes to the different types of fantasy people. I believe it's based in Venezuelan folklore. I could be wrong, but I think I read that somewhere on Goodreads. So I don't know how to fully tell you what this book is about, because I'll be honest, the reason I DNF'd it, I did manage to get 21% into the book. I got 113 pages in specifically, and I was listening to the audiobook while I was reading this book, but the problem was I was so bored. I had zero interest in the characters, in the storyline, in the plot, which is the storyline, in the magic system. No interest whatsoever, none of it went in. I feel like the writing felt like it was trying too hard to be overly descriptive and overly creative to the point that it was jarring and overwhelming, and none of it actually went into my brain. And that could be a me issue. I did see a couple reviews kind of thinking the same thing on Goodreads, because I was like, should I continue? So I went on Goodreads to have a look at the overall views, and I think a few people felt the same way that I did, that I just couldn't get into the story. It was very slow moving. Over 100 pages in, 20% in, and the 2 people who are meant to have a love connection in this hadn't even met, didn't even know each other existed. I'm all for a slow burn, but I at least feel like you should have met once at that point. There was clearly one FMC that was more the main character than the other, which is Raina, because we saw more of her point of view. I can't even remember the other girl's name, to be honest. But like I said, I listened to the audiobook. It was also not good. The voice she did for one of the person who like saved Raina's life, she kind of sounded like Lady Downbury from Bridgerton. I loved that. Like, the voice was so similar. But the voice she did for Raina just made her sound completely brainless. Like, there was no intonation in her voice. She just paused randomly. She was like stuttering, but not stuttering the way you like I just mean she was like, and like she sounded like she had no idea what word wanted to come out. She sounded like she was stuttering because she just had no thoughts in her brain. She didn't have 2 brain cells to rub together. This woman, I'm worried for her. She was just completely, I don't know. And like I said, the voice just made her really seem brainless. Her actions also made her seem brainless. But yeah, girl could not think for herself. So I was just bored. It was just very disappointing and underwhelming. I think this could have been really good. It's just the writing really didn't agree with me. The pacing was off. Anyway, that was the book we DNF'd. Let's get on to the books I did read and did enjoy. Okay, the first book technically I started on the 30th of June. But that's because that was the first day of my holiday, so I had to be reading. So I read The Convenience Store by the Sea by Sonoko Machida. This is the Japanese translated fiction. This book is set in a convenience store called Tenderness in a seaside town in Japan. It kind of gives anime vibes. You know when you see in like an anime when there's like a certain character where all the women just love him and they've got like a little fan club for him? This is basically the premise of the book. Okay, so you have Mr. Shiba, who he is like the manager of Tenderness, and he has a fan club of older women, younger. If a woman is near him, she probably is in love with him because he's meant to just be like weirdly handsome, just has this like charm and charisma that just kind of like sparkles. I imagine him in an anime, every time he'd be on screen there'd be like a blurry pink background and sparkles and hearts. You know what I mean if you watch anime. Like, yeah. This follows the typical cozy Japanese fiction rule of there's different, like 4 or 5 different chapters, this one's got 5, following different people with their own, like they've got their own isolated story that fits in with the general plot of the whole book. And it's usually about them coming to terms with something, coming to a realization, fixing a problem, something along those lines. But they all like know each other and it's all like related. I rated it at 4 stars. And it's the kind of book where you probably could just binge it all in one go, or you could read a chapter at a time because like I say, it's still their own isolated story within the grander scheme of things. So you could like read one chapter, read their story, come back to it. But yeah, I just really enjoy this kind of book. I just think they're so cozy. They're so, I don't know, you learn something. I thought that the story with the old man and the kid, I loved it. This old man, he'd retired, he spent his whole life working because he thought his job in his family is to bring home the income and to support his family financially, and that like, the harder he works, the more money he brings in, the better he's doing. But his daughter was, and his daughter was kind of like, well no, man raised me, you just went to work and blah 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 blah. Which I feel bad for him. This man's in his 60s and that's how he was brought up and that's how the world was, and now people are realising families don't need to be that way, and it's probably not the healthiest to have dad just be off working and that's the only thing he does for the family, and maybe doesn't prioritise spending time with his family and with his kids, whereas now people are more aware of like, look, the quality time with your kids is more important than you being a good employee. I don't know. But yeah, he's retired and his wife has this like part-time job. She's always out, she's got all these friends, always doing things, and he's feeling really lonely. And he meets this kid who's getting bullied because his dad's not going to go to his sports day, and he's just, it was really sweet. Listen, he became like an honorary granddad to this kid and it was just adorable and I loved it. And I hope there's another book. I really do, because I need more of Mr. Shiba. I need to know, does he have a girlfriend? Does he have a wife? I need to know more about Mr. Shiba. And I wouldn't say that's just a summer book because it kind of spans over quite a few months, so it kind of starts more in the summertime and ends at Christmas. So you could fit it in any time of year. Yeah, so that book and the next 2 books I read in a reading vlog that hasn't come out yet. Okay, I'm very behind on my reading vlogs for getting them out. I had 17 hours of footage for my Throne of Glass reading vlog. It took me so long to go through it. A lot of it was silent because I was getting my reactions. Oh, I've still got 2 hours left to edit. It's taken me days. Okay, I know now why I put it off for 2 months, but it's coming. It'll be the next video, I promise. Anyway, next I read The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This one I rated at 4 stars also. This was just really fun. The premise of this book, you're following Anna and Liam, who goes by West, short for Weston, which is his nickname. So Anna's kind of, everything's going wrong in her life. She's just been fired from her job and she's like, what do I do now? And then we've got Liam, who, I can't remember what he does, but basically he is meant to be the heir of this massive grocery store company in America called Weston's. And Anna and Liam met in university. She's friends with Liam's brother Jake. And the only housing left at the university was the family housing for people who are married. So basically Jake was like, well, why don't you 2 get married so you can have the housing, just live together, everything will be fine. So that's what they do. The only thing is, for Liam to get his inheritance, he needs to be married for 5 years. So he doesn't actually divorce her when she thought he did. Doesn't get annulled, doesn't get divorced, nothing. So this is now 3 years after they last saw each other, and they are still married. So they've been married for nearly 5 years at this point. And he comes to her and says, look, my family are like, I need to meet your wife finally. And my sister's getting married so you need to come with me, please, and pretend we're married, like, properly, for like a week or two for my sister's destination wedding. And she's like, I've got no money, sure, I'll go along with it. That's, yeah, the very basic premise. It was really fun. Both characters had such good banter. They were both really funny in their own ways. Anna's definitely more like sarcastic, she's more crude. But Liam was really good at like the quick wit. Yeah, it was really fun, really entertaining. His family is awful. Don't get me wrong, his brother Jake and his sister Charlotte. Charlotte's always great, let's be real. I liked them, and I felt so bad for Charlotte at her wedding. Like, the whole plot of this story is about her wedding, and what happens, I felt so bad for her. But his older brother Alex is a complete wet wipe, and his dad is just the worst human being ever. His mum is also really not that great, but his mum is like taller than his dad, so I think his dad's got small man syndrome, and that's why he's so awful. He's just insecure about his height. He's a short king, except he's not a king, he's a short dickhead. My only thing is, I remember everyone reading this last year, and I saw so many people like highlighting things and quotes that I really liked when I saw the photos of them. I thought, right, great, I cannot wait to read this book. And I have tabbed things, I've tabbed moments I thought were funny, or like the romantic moments that I really liked, but I had nothing I felt like I need to underline. I had no quotes that really jumped out to me, so... But it was fun, and like I say, it takes place on a tropical island, so it's a really nice, like, it's like about a destination wedding. It just feels perfect for summer, so I do really recommend it. Okay, next I read Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young, and I read this in a day, and again, this was a 4 stars. This book follows Out on a Limb, so if you have read Out on a Limb, which is technically the first book in this series, I think it's only going to be the 2, you meet Sarah and Caleb because they are Olive's friends, and they are already married. So this book, it's not a second chance romance, it's not a we've gotten divorced, we're having marriage problems. It's not really even like a we're having marriage problems book, but they kind of are. But the problem is, Sarah's feeling very lost in life. She feels like she's not successful enough, and I think she's having a bit of identity crisis herself. And I don't think Caleb is understanding that very well. So they go to this like this like relationship counselling type of retreat in the woods. They basically camp for a week and learn about themselves and their relationship and communication. And it was just really heartwarming. It was really cute. I really liked them as a couple. Caleb was just so lovely. He's the kind of guy, I think he was just struggling to understand how she felt, because in his eyes there was nothing wrong with her, in his eyes there was nothing wrong with the relationship, but she was feeling unfulfilled in her life in general, and I think it was bleeding into how she felt about the relationship. But the relationship was good, it's just there wasn't quite the understanding there between them for how they both felt and what they both needed. And because they got married so young, and the situation around why they got married so young, I think, yeah, there was just things that needed to be discussed and things they needed to work out between themselves just to reconnect and build a stronger connection and relationship. And it was really nice. It was heartwarming, and I was in the woods at the time of reading this, so it was quite nice. I thankfully wasn't camping, at least. Okay, next I read Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. I read Phantasma last year and loved it, so I knew I wanted to read this one fairly soon after it came out. I think I gave it a couple months before I read it. I rated this a 4.5 stars. Oh, I forgot to tell you Chili Pepper ratings of things. Convenience Store by the Sea, no spice, obviously. Paradise Problem, I gave it a 2. It was a little bit, not a lot. Out of the Woods, also a 2, a little bit, not a lot. But this one, we're giving like a 3. Because the spice was like a bit more spicy. It wasn't necessarily that there was more spice, it's just it was a little bit longer. I don't know. This book, we're following Genevieve, who is... So Genevieve is Ophelia from the first book's sister. I was about to say wife, don't know why, that's completely wrong. Yeah, she's Ophelia's sister. And it follows a similar premise. She goes to this house and enters this kind of a competition called Enchantra, but usually, unlike Phantasma where you can choose to enter it, Enchantra is a closed competition only for the same members of a family, and it happens every year. This family is basically locked in this house. The person who wins can kind of come and go for the year after this week of competition, and the other members are stuck in hell for the year, essentially, if they die. And then they come back and do it all over again. So she gets a letter to go to this house, Enchantra, and it just so happens to be the worst time for her to go because now she can't leave and she has to enter the competition by marrying one of the kids of this family. So she marries Rowington. We call him Rowan. All of their names end in ton. I don't know why, I don't really like it, but we're just gonna pretend it's not a thing. So we have, it's kind of a marriage of convenience, but it's not really more convenience, it's more of a marriage of survival. There is a clause in this competition where if you get married and you and your spouse compete, so you two are competing together, if you win, you're both free forever. You never have to do the competition again. So all his siblings are like, absolutely not, you're not getting out, and they are more so wanting to kill him. So that's the basic premise of this book. I really enjoyed it. The games, again, same as Phantasma, they were so new. It was different to anything I've ever seen. Each game was very similar because it's all held within this house, and it's basically if you're found and they kill you, that's it. So it's kind of like a big game of hide and seek with other things happening. And then there's other rooms that are like special rooms which have a token that you have to win. And if you find a token, then you're immune for the next round, you can sit out of it. So yeah, it was very different to Phantasma in how the trials were based, but also just different from how I've seen trials in general. But it kind of was the same trial over and over again. So it was different, but it was the same, if that's the best way I can describe it. And then, oh, I did not expect this to make me cry. I got really teary. There's a trope in this at the end, and I don't know what it is. Even if I'm not connected to a character, I probably would cry at this trope. It's something that I have not experienced this myself within my family or friends. I'm not going to tell you what trope it is, I don't want to spoil it. But I've never had this happen to me in my real life, but whenever I consume it in some sort of media, whether it's a book, movie, whatever, TV show, it always makes me sob because it's one of my, to me, it's one of the worst things that could happen to me or to a family member. Like, yeah, the idea of it happening, it breaks my heart, and it really made me emotional at the end. I really enjoyed it. And then also towards the end we got to see Salem and Ophelia from Phantasma and how their relationship is now that they're out. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I cannot wait for the rest of the series. I think Kaylee Smith is she's doing something new. Trials is not new in the genre, but how she's tackling it is very new and very unique, and I really enjoyed that. And also the spice was really good. I'm just gonna say this now. The spice was really good. She likes a little bit of a voyeuristic, exhibitionistic, spicy scene. Because we had it in Phantasma and we kind of had it in here as well, so yeah. Okay, the next book I read, I really thought it was going to be a 5 stars, and I'm very sad to announce it wasn't. And that is A Night in the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I rated this a 4 stars, I give it a 1 chili pepper rating. It had like 1 scene and it wasn't very detailed. This book, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. It just, unfortunately, was not a 5 stars. There was something missing. I think it was from the romance. I'll give you a vague idea of what this book's about. We're following Sybil, and she essentially, I would say works, but that's a very loose way of putting it. She essentially works at this cathedral as a diviner, and what that means is she can go into this dreamlike state where she sees the gods, and how do I best put it? She goes into this dreamlike state, and what she sees in these dreams she interprets as good or bad omens based on the gods that she sees and what she sees when she's in there. So people come to the cathedral and pay to have the diviners look at whether they've got good or bad omens happening about, they've got like a question, and yeah, that's the best way to describe it. And then the king, he was a very young king, he's new to the throne, him and his gods, knights, whatever, come, and they basically, he pays to kind of see if he has the god's favour. And one of the knights is very, how would I put it? He's very skeptical and disrespectful about the whole thing. He just thinks the whole thing's rubbish, and he makes it known. So yeah, that knight is Roderick. Again, it's not the sexiest of main character names, but we'll go ahead. And so yeah, Sybil and Roderick have this very much dislike to love going on. It's kind of dislike to friends to lovers, but they view the world very differently. But Sybil has been very sheltered and I think Roderick knows it. There was something missing from the romance. I did really enjoy it. There was some moments where I just thought, oh my god, I love Roderick. He was brooding, he was dark, he was handsome, he was mysterious. We loved him. But there was something missing. I don't know what it was. I can't put my finger on it. But I wasn't obsessed with their romance. But one thing I will say that Rachel Gillick does incredibly well is write an atmospheric, very unique book. So this is a very small world, but it's written so well. So you basically, it's almost as if you've got a very small country. Actually no, it's basically set in like a county, and they're going around different towns within the county. That's kind of like how it feels a little bit. It's a very small area that they are, and maybe it is a small island, like a small country, but it doesn't take long to travel between the cities basically. It was just so atmospheric. I don't know what it was. It just felt dark and gothic. The magic system, again, so unique. I don't know how Rachel comes up with these magic systems. I don't know what is going on in her brain, but it's basically these, well, first of all, the diviners and how they are able to go into these dreams, like the water from this well, and then you've got these stones that have different abilities. It's just so unique. I don't know how she thought about it. I absolutely loved it. It was a very immersive book to read. This would be perfect for autumn, honestly. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. I felt so connected to Sybil. I was just rooting for her the whole time. To be honest, I just love all the characters. I do love Sybil. My favourite character is the gargoyle though. He is like the comic relief of the story. He's the one who just, oh, the things he comes out with, he's so funny. And yeah, the backstory broke my heart. When I think about it, my eyes burn. I love the gargoyle. I love the gargoyle. He's my favourite character ever. Oh, my heart breaks for him. I loved him. I think the only thing that makes this not a 5 stars is the fact that there was something missing from the romance. I don't know what it was, because the tension, the banter was really good. I mean, Rory with his earring wearing, eyeliner wearing Rude. Oh, love him. But the twist at the end, I was like, oh, for God's sake, you could see this coming up from a mile away. How did no one else think this is a bit dodgy? What's happening here? What the whole quest is? So, yeah. But I did really enjoy it. I really recommend it. I cannot wait for the next book, because this ended on such like it is a cliffhanger. I would say it's not the worst cliffhanger I've read, but I'm dying for the next book. I don't know when it's coming, but I will read it straight away. Okay. Next, I finally read the Windy City series by Liz Tom Ford. I read the whole thing. I binged the whole series in one go. And I started reading this series and I was kicking myself for not picking it up sooner. But then I thought to myself, well, Rewind It Back only came out like a month or two ago. So the fact I've been able to binge the whole series in one go is an experience that I'm so glad I got to have. So I'm forgiving myself for waiting like 2 years to read this book. I'll talk about them individually first. I went into Mile High knowing there was a chance I wasn't going to like it and that I might DNF and then continue with the rest of the series. I was okay with that if that was going to happen, because I know a lot of people didn't like this book. However, I rated this a 4.5. I ate up this book. I loved it. I was giggling. I was kicking my feet. Xander's, yes, was a bit of an arsehole at first. I understand that. He was annoying. However, because Stevie kind of found it endearing, was kind of funny, like I thought it was funny, was going along with it, it made me not dislike him. Because sometimes someone's a bit cheeky, someone's a bit whatever, and if you're not bothered by it, why should I? I gave it a 3 spice rating. This was like quite a spicy series. I did enjoy it, I have to say. At first I didn't love the writing. It got better throughout the book, and then throughout the series, miles better. It's just the first part of this book, I was like, the writing's a little bit, there was something cringy about it, and then I stopped noticing it once I was really into the story, and then for the rest of the series, like I said, I just feel like it wasn't an issue. A little bit in The Right Move. There was something about it in The Right Move and in this book, there was a repetitiveness, and what I mean by that, she would show and she would tell in the same sentence. So, for example, Stevie's brother in this is Ryan Shea, who is the main character of The Right Move, right? So this is why it would happen in both books. Ryan was known to be a really protective brother, and like they're twins. I think he's actually technically the younger one, or maybe I think there's only like, I can't remember which one's older actually, maybe he is by like 2 minutes. He would do something protective, and then it would be like, he would say something that was like protective, then it would be like, said my protective older brother. And I'm like, oh my God, just we get it. We get it. So there was a few things that it was like beating a dead horse, just said over and over and over and over and over again. And that was a little bit annoying. And that was, it added to the cringe factor. So yeah, it was really only the first 20% that was cringe. And after that it was fine, but there was still that repetitiveness about the showing something and then telling what you just showed, which wasn't necessary. I would know that Ryan is protective if he just does something protective. I can pick up what you're putting down. That is my only criticism about the writing though, aside from that. And like I say, it got so much better throughout the first book and throughout the series. Yeah, the repetitiveness was more in the inner monologue of constantly saying why you're feeling something. Like, I get it. I got it the first 3 times. This following 10 were not necessary. I get you just want love. I get you just want someone to choose you. Please stop going on about it. And it didn't help that the book was, I mean, come on, this book is 570 pages. It definitely was longer than it needed to be. I didn't mind because I was enjoying it, but this book definitely did not need to be this long. The third act breakup was, it just went on for so long. Like, it's not even funny. Like, normally, you kind of find a easy medium. It's very hard to find a third act breakup or third act conflict where people are 100% happy with it. Sometimes they're far too short and it's resolved like that and you're like, what was the point in it then? This was the complete opposite case. It went on for so long, I was like, you're taking the mick now, like what is going on here? But because of that, it was kind of a nice change from the way to quick conflict resolving, that it felt more like, well, it clearly was necessary if it's going on for this long. And I think it's because Z needed to make, or Sanders, whichever you want to call him, he needed to make a lot of personal progress in that time, which he did do, but he needed that time. So it kind of made sense for how long it was, but it just, it was so long. I haven't told you what the book is about. We have Xanders, who is a hockey, what is he? I just know he's a hockey player. I have no idea what position he is, I can't remember. And then we have Stevie, who's a flight attendant on like their private plane. And it's forbidden for them to fraternize. She will get fired and she really wants this job. She really needs this job. It's very convenient for her to do what she actually wants to do. Also, this book is plus size rep. Stevie is a plus size girly and we love that. She is iconic. She's stunning. And Z finds her to be the most beautiful being alive. He is like blown away by her. Like, I love that. Obviously they start off on the wrong foot, kind of, and then they become friends and it was, yeah, and they become lovers and it was so good. There's also really good mental health representation in this book, especially regarding the men and the athletes. Like, they just seemed so, like the team, none of the men were like giving toxic men energy. I loved it. Like, all the men seemed really switched on, really caring of each other. They were a really good team. I love them. Oh, and don't get me started on Z as an uncle. That guy loves Madison's kids so much. He is the cutest man. Everyone's like, oh yeah, he's getting laid on the side, and like all he's doing is getting laid and partying. Like, no, this man, technically yes he is, but all this man wants to do is be with his friend's family and with this little girl and just spend like quality time with them and love them. I love him. Listen, he was just such a well-rounded character with such good character progression. I just don't understand how you could not like him. Anyway, so yes, that one was a 4.5. Then The Right Move was a 5 stars. I had a feeling it would be. Again, I've rated this, I think every book is a 3 chili pepper rating. They're all pretty much on par with each other. Ryan Shea, okay, at first I was like, this guy has no personality, he's so boring. My god, he proved me wrong. He was just very shy and he kind of sheltered himself because of how in the spotlight he is. He just felt, I think he has such pressure on himself to not mess up that he just completely isolated himself and he was so lonely. So this book we're following Ryan and Indy, who is Stevie's friend, the flight attendant. Indy needs a place to live and Stevie's like, well, Ryan, you have a spare room, you're not there very often, you're travelling with basketball, she's travelling with the hockey team, like you won't see each other that often, please will you help my friend out? And so eventually he does, and then so it's like forced proximity, they're living together. Oh, this was so good. There was so many moments when I was giggling and kicking my feet. Like, Ryan Shea, this man, she was trying to figure out what his love language was and he was basically like, all of them. If any of them will show you that you are loved, I will do anything. If it shows you I love you, I will do it. Like, he was the one thing that did annoy me that Ryan was like, only in the beginning, he would do nice things for Indy and then in his inner monologue be like, oh, she's gonna take this the wrong way, she's gonna romanticize it, she's gonna think it's more than it is. I'm like, well, don't do it then if that's like, Do you know what I mean? Because she loves a romance book and she's very emotional and she cries a lot. And I love indie because I am also emotional. I also cry a lot and I love reading smutty romance books as well. So yeah, it annoyed me. And then anyway, he stopped doing that. He stopped thinking that way, and it was just like the kiss scene, the first kiss scene, but in the kitchen scene that happened straight afterwards, I was gagged. It was the hot, like there was so many things in this house like that is the hottest thing I've ever read. Like the tension between these two people. He's such a gentleman, like he would not let her open the door. I don't think she opened the door for herself the whole time in this if he was there. He physically would not let her. He locked the car so she couldn't unlock her own door because he was like, I need to unlock your door. He was so hot for that. Listen, I love Ryan Shea. I just love this man. I feel like I spoke more about Mile High, but I think there was a lot of controversy about Mile High, so I had a lot of thoughts to contradict that. But I do like The Right Move ever so slightly more. Next we have Caught Up, and this one I also rated a 4.5 and a 3 chili pepper rating. Like I say, every book in this series is a 3 chili pepper. The only reason this is not a 5 stars is because the third act conflict really pissed me off. Okay, so we're following Kai and Miller. Kai is friends with Ryan and he's a baseball athlete, star, person, player. Miller is a pastry chef and she is the daughter of his team captain. Kyle's a single daddy, and he's described when you meet him in The Right Move as being like a Clark Kent lookalike. Like he's got the dark hair, the glasses, he's got the slutty little glasses. Oh my god, I love Kai so much. If there's one thing about me, I love a man with slutty glasses. Okay, Jonathan Bailey, absolutely. Henry Cavill, he is Clark Kent, but okay, anyway. I just love a man with slutty little glasses. Yes, so Kai's a single daddy and he's struggling at the minute, traveling with the team and having a baby. Like, he's like 18 months in this. He's still a baby in my opinion, but he's basically a toddler. So Miller is a really renowned pastry chef. She's got a really good name for herself, but she's starting to feel really burnt out. So she's like, right, I'm gonna take the summer off. I'm gonna figure out, like, nothing's working for me in the kitchen. I need to figure out my shit. I need to get back to being good at my job again. So her dad kind of says, look, will you come around with us for the summer? If you're taking time off anyway, can you please be this kid's nanny? Because I'm sick of this guy firing his nannies after a week or two because no one is good enough to look after his kid. So yes, the third act, the whole time that I was like, well, this finishes at the end of summer, I have to go back to my job, I have to do this, blah, blah, blah. Even though she's not enjoying it. This girl is 25 years old. I'm sorry. At 25 years old, when you're a famous chef like you are renowned in like the dessert part of the community of cooking. I don't know how to explain that. She's a pastry chef. She does desserts. She has a wait list like 3-4 years long. Like she is very sought after. So there's no doubt that she has a decent amount of money. And considering she lives in a van, I think she can take the time to take some time off and figure out and change her career direction. Like she doesn't have to stay what she's doing. She's definitely young enough. She could have been 45 and decided she wanted to change her career and she still could have. And the whole time she's like, yeah, but I have to go back to this career that I don't want and that I don't like and doesn't fulfill me and makes me quite miserable. So the whole third act conflict being like, I have to leave. Sorry, bye. It really pissed me off. Like, you didn't, babe. You literally, he is so rich, you could have taken the time to figure out what you wanted to do. Between your money and his, like, you would have been fine. So yeah, that did, but otherwise this book was perfection. That did piss me off, but it was so good otherwise. Again, giggling, kicking my feet, just ate every word up. And like the family they became, the three of them. Oh, this child was so cute. He was at that really cute age as well, when he's like starting to walk and just, oh. The way she just cared so much about Kai's experience as a father, about Kai not missing anything. She just cared so much. They had such a cute little family. I love them. This was so good. Then we have Play Along. This one I rated a 4.5 also. I'm sure I changed the ratings. Hang on. I did. Caught Up was a 4.75. I just haven't changed it on here. There we go. Yes, I after reading Play Along, I changed Caught Up to a 4.75 because I liked it slightly more than Play Along, which I rated a 4.5. Isaiah. I loved Isaiah from Caught Up. He is Kai's brother. And then we have Kennedy, who again we met in Caught Up because she's one of like the team, a doctor, but she's not the team doctor. She's like athletic trainer. She is heavily overqualified for her job, but her boss is really sexist, and it's a whole thing of the story. Anyway, so Isaiah's been absolutely obsessed with Kennedy, but she was wearing an engagement ring, so he was like flirting but never really thought anything of it. So yeah, he was going out, partying, sleeping with women, whatever. Then he notices she is not wearing a ring anymore, and this guy's like, right, this is it, this is my time. I'm gonna be serious now. I want this woman. She is my future wife. And so he makes her his wife. They get drunk in Vegas and accidentally get married. And she's like, we can't stay together, I'm gonna lose my job. And he's like, well no, if we say we're really serious, then they will keep you, it's fine. And that works. Listen, we love a begging, whimpering, down bad, boy obsessed man. Oh, and this man was obsessed. He was so down bad, it's not even funny. There was not a thing this man would not have done for her. The outburst at the team dinner of him finally being like, look, why aren't you taking my feelings seriously, for fuck's sake? I loved it. I loved it so much. It was so good. And yet Kennedy was like refusing to see. I'm like, why? Open your eyes. You're like, oh, all I want is this. And Isaiah is being that. Why won't you open your... You already married him. You might as well go along with it. Like, what's the worst that can happen at this point? You've already married. I just love the series. I love the series so much. It is everything. Okay, this series, I haven't had a series I've felt obsessed with this year in the way that Chestnut Springs made me obsessed. This series finally gives me Chestnut Springs level of obsession. Anyway, then we had a very anticipated book. We had Rio's story with Rewind It Back. I love Rio. Rio is like the youngest on the team. We meet him in Mile High. He's one of the rookies. He's so funny. He's always like, he's just looking for love, and everyone's like, no, you're too immature, no. And like everyone's like joking that he's got no game. No, he's actually just been in love with his childhood sweetheart for like 10 years, hasn't seen her in 6 years, and yet he just still holds a candle for her. So we have Hallie and Rio. They meet when she's 11, he's 12. He moves in next door. They have this beautiful friendship that turns into a romance, and then things go wrong with their families. They break up. They haven't seen each other in 6 years, and all of a sudden she designs the home next door and moves in with the girl. It's a bit weird that he's asked her to design his house because he's thinking of selling it. He bought that anyway. He bought the house wanting like a family, and he's thinking, I don't think I'm gonna have that. I might move back to Boston, I don't know. So he's thinking about doing it up to sell it. So there's fourth proximity. Oh my god, it was so good. This book was also 5 stars. I had zero complaints about this. I had zero complaints about their relationship, about anything. I'm so sad this series is over. I'm so sad. This was so good. The whole found family, the Sunday dinners they had after the right move, like literally Indy was like, Ryan, you need family, you need friends. So now every Sunday that we're here, like we're at home, we're having a Sunday dinner with the family and friends, and oh, it was so cute. And like, Emmett is having a spin-off. Emmett, who is Miller's dad. So looking forward to that. So looking forward to that. I'm just so happy Rio got his happy ever after. Like, he was just so sweet. And like, he's one of the girls. He goes to girls' night, for God's sake. He just wants love. And he was struggling to find it because he already had found it, and oh, I don't want a Rio. Yeah. I love Kai. Kai or Rio, I'll have either. Or Ryan. But Kai or Rio, I think. Even though The Right Move was also 5 stars, if I was gonna pick one of these guys, it would be Kai or Rio. I don't know what it is, but I just love them. Oh my god, I've still got 4 books to talk about. I've been filming for so long. This is gonna be a long one, but I did read a lot of books this month. And I have tried to actually tell you more information about the books for a change, so. Okay, next I read Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. Again, this is a book I thought or hoped would be 5 stars because it has a lot of 5-star reviews. Emmy's talked about it loads on her book talk and YouTube. I did rate it 4 stars, and I give it a 1 chili pepper rating. It had a tiny bit of spice, not a lot, not super detailed. Okay, when I first finished this book, I have a reading vlog that will be coming out with this book in it. When I first finished the book, I thought it must be a 5 stars because of that ending. I was so shocked. I did not see it coming, and I thought, if it's shocked me this much, surely it's a 5 stars. And then I took some time away to charge my camera and came back. Had a little look on Goodreads, and then I realised it's not a 5 stars because the ending, it was so shocking and made no sense. I'll not do any spoilers. The vlog hasn't got any spoilers in it, but if you read it, you might know what I mean. There was no clue as to what that twist would be. I don't think anyone who read it could have guessed what happens. It just made no sense because of the point of view we're in, because of how much we would have been misled to believe, or just not being shown that would have been missing from the story. It just made no sense. So I don't know if it was done for shock factor, or I'll give it grace. It's the first book in a series. I don't know how many books there's going to be. It might be that the questions we have, the things that don't make sense, the plot holes will be like all come to light and make sense in the next book or any future books. I don't know. So I will give it grace. It's the first book in a series. It's at least a duology. So I'll give it grace for that, but it just didn't feel like it made sense. I did though, for the whole, really love this book. I enjoyed the characters. So our main character, Bryn, and then, okay, I was calling him Aka in the vlog. It's Aka. It's still a terrible name. Their connection that they build when they're on the boat and basically fighting for survival, you just end up really connecting to the characters, and I was really rooting for them. And yes, that part of the story went on a smidge too long. The pacing of the book is a little bit weird. I won't lie. Some bits are too long, some bits are too short. But I really enjoyed that part of the story. It also was giving Pirates of the Caribbean because they're in the middle of the ocean. But then once they're off the boat, the romance felt a little bit one-sided on his behalf. I felt like you really understood why he felt the way he did. I felt like there was something missing on her end. I don't know. There was definitely, she was like needing to be near him. And if you read the book, you'll know why. There is a reason that could be explained away without it being that she's in love with him. So it did feel a little bit one-sided, slightly. There was just something missing from the romance, but I can't fully I can put my finger on why. It's to do with the whole twist. I did read the indie version, which is on Kindle. It's being traditionally published, but it hasn't been yet. So the Kindle version hasn't been updated. The writing really needed editing, I can't lie. The writing itself was fine. There was a few sentences where I'm like, this sentence doesn't make sense. There's like a couple of words missed out. Like the base words, like words like the or a and would, like things like that just make two things go together to complete a sentence. It was those base words that just sometimes were missing. There were times where in the middle of a sentence it randomly kind of goes on as if it's a new paragraph, like, or onto a new line at least. There was just a few things where it clearly needed editing and it hasn't been edited as much as it should have been. But it is the indie version, so as long as the traditionally published version that comes out later this year, as long as that's all fixed, I can't like hold a grudge about that. So yeah, I did really enjoy it. I am definitely going to be reading the next book at least, and we'll see how that goes with answering my questions. But I do have a couple of problems with it, and I think if you've rated it 5 stars for the twist, I think you've rated it for the shock factor and not necessarily looked into it as much. But I mean, each individual opinion is their own. I'm not like, if you think it's a 5 stars, that's great. But I just think I loved the twist. It really shocked me. I love how shocked I was. But on reflection, I'm like, oh, where are we going with this then? Nothing makes sense now. I don't know. So this year, the last couple of months, I've been finishing the Monsters and Muses series by Savor Miller. I read Promises and Pomegranates and Oaths and Omissions back in 2023 and then didn't read anything further. So some things I forgot from the first 2 books that relate. So it's interconnected standalones, right? I read book 3 and 4 last month, so I decided to finish the series this month. So I did read Souls and Sorrows and Liars and Liaisons back to back. Souls and Sorrows I rated a 2.75. It was the worst book in the series, in my opinion. I seem to be in the minority though. When I've had a look on Goodreads, a lot of people really like this book. I just felt that there wasn't really any plot. I was halfway in and thought, what actually is the plot of this story, aside from I've bought you and now we're married? I didn't feel bothered about picking it up. It took me longer to read than it should have because of the type of story it was, for how long it was. Like, I should have flown through it like I did the other ones. There wasn't a lot of plot. I feel like it had the least going on out of all of the books. And the FMC, I didn't like it. All the other FMCs I've quite liked. This one, she's probably had the most traumatic childhood out of everyone, from what I can remember of everyone else's stories. But every single main character, the females and the males in this series, they've all had some sort of traumatic childhood or something really bad happen. Like, they've all had it bad, right? I can't even remember her name. She was just so childish and it was embarrassing. It was really embarrassing. She was annoying. Really annoying. The MMC was fine. I just really didn't like the FMC, and like I say, I felt like there was no plot. So yeah, I didn't love this book. I gave it a 3 chili pepper rating. It was fairly spicy. Anyway, then I read Liars and Liaisons, and this one was my favourite book of the whole series. I rated it a 4 stars. I've given it a 4 chili pepper rating because the spice was it was quite dark. Not the darkest I've read by any means, but there was like the first spice scene, I was like, it was starting out like, is this dubious consent? Is this what we're gonna be? I don't know, I was just really invested in this one. There was a lot happening. The first chapter I read, I was so confused. And then as I was going on, I realised what was happening. So Grayson is... It's funny because the second book, Oaths and Omissions, I'm like, how does this actually relate to this series? It relates because of the final book. So Aiden is Grayson's nephew. So Grayson is the youngest of his family and they're all basically musical geniuses. So if you remember, like in book 2, Aiden is like a rock star. So Grayson is this musical genius, but he's decided to be a professor rather than pursue music as a career, like him doing it. He rather like cultivates other people's talent. And he's locked himself away in this house after some tragedy. We don't know what's happened. We know it's to do with a student of his. And we just know he wants to get revenge. And then we've got Violet, who is Cora's cousin from book 4, Hours and Apologies. So basically it's a funny story. This one, I don't even know how to go into what this story is about, to be honest, because this book has the most happening in it, and I feel like I don't know how to tell you what happens without spoiling anything, so I'm just gonna leave it at what I've told you, okay? This is probably the darkest of them since, I think Promises and Pomegranates and this book are the 2 darkest of the series in terms of what actually happens in the story itself. It was the darkest in terms of gore, 100%. My god, the big conflict at the end, I was like, fuck me, this is a lot. Like, it was entertaining though, don't get me wrong, and I'm not really affected by that kind of thing, but it was quite gory towards the end. I have to say, why does everyone's family suck? Every single couple have had a sucky family. What is going on? But this guy especially, his family sucked. Like, Jesus. But yeah, anyway, I liked Grayson. I probably shouldn't because of the whole drugging thing at the beginning, but we're just gonna... Listen, all of the MMCs are fucked up, okay? They're all dark, morally grey. So we're just gonna kind of slide over that and pretend that isn't as bad. I was entertained, okay? I really was entertained. I was eating this book up. I read it in like 2 days, and then there was a whole like mystery kind of plot. Like he was doing something and we kind of knew what it was, but it was never really confirmed for a while. Yeah, it was just really good. The final book I read, it was completely different. I read Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I got this in 2023 because I read every summer after, and I did really enjoy that. To me, it is the better Love in Other Words, but I rated this 4 stars. I was a little bit dubious going into it, but I wanted to read it this summer because I've had it since 2023. But the whole premise is that these 2 characters meet for 1 day. They spend 1 day together 10 years ago. And I'm like, that seems like it's not very much to base a romance on. But when you see the day, like everything that happened, and that like they just had such a connection. The writing had me interested straight away. I was in the book. We're following Fern. She's 32, her mum's just died, and she's now having to take over. She's being left in her mum's will. It's not really an inn, it's a full-on resort that her mum ran and owned. And she basically spent her whole teenage life and adult life being like, look, I don't want to work here, I don't want to do this, even though her mum was wanting that. And so she's been running these like this coffee chain in Toronto. It's like she wanted to live in the city, she wanted to do like have like her own coffee house and all this kind of stuff. She did not want to work for the resort. So now her mum's died and she now owns the resort, and she's kind of conflicted of, do I want to stay here? Should I stay here? Is it shitting on my mum's memory if I sell the place? do I sell the place and fulfill this dream I've had for as long as I can remember? Like it's a lot. And then in comes Will, who she met 10 years prior, and they had a plan to meet up the next year on the exact same day they met, and he doesn't show. So she's like, you're 9 years too late, buddy, what are you doing here? And he's basically been hired as a consultant because the resort's failing financially. So that's the basic premise. It takes place over, I think, 6 weeks, and I just really liked their romance. I really liked them as a couple. When you see them when they're 22 and they're just trying to figure out life, they're just really sweet. They have such a connection. I really liked it. The only thing was the third act conflict, third act breakup was so stupid, and by that I mean Will was being an immature idiot. You're 32, grow up. And then how it's resolved, I don't want to spoil anything, but I don't like that it was her, and I'll just leave it at that. I got very animated talking to one of my colleagues about it yesterday actually. But overall, I just really enjoyed the story. Loved the setting. It was a great summer read. I cannot wait to read. I really want to read One Golden Summer because it follows Charlie from Every Summer After. But I will read, I forgot the name of it. The one that she published last year. I will read that one first. So I'm going to get them, hopefully, and maybe read them this month. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it. It was just that at the end it kind of annoyed me. And then, the letter in the epilogue made things full circle. Oh, it was so cute. It really made me tear up. This book, it's more than a romance, because you've also got, you're tackling grief, you're tackling identity, what do you do if your dreams change or have, like, it's just, yeah, there's a lot more going on than just the romance, but even then the romance was really quite sweet. I also don't think I said, but this was a 1 chili pepper rating. It had, listen, it was starting off as spicy and I was like, is this full spice? And it does close the door right before anything happens. But the lead up to it, I was like, oh my god, this man, Will. So yes, that is the 14 books I read in July. I had such a good reading month. There's so many books I want to read. I'm really in a fantasy mood, but I can't decide what. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just in a proper reading mood. I don't know what it is. Somehow I just read a lot. And I feel like that's the opposite for everyone. But anyway, I don't want to, I have so many summary books I want to read this month, do not get me wrong. I'm gonna fully enjoy August and like the beginning of September for like the last bits of summer. But I'm so looking forward to the books I have planned to read during autumn. There's gonna be some good ones. I'm so excited for the rest of the year for what we're gonna read. Anyway. That being said, I'm gonna go. This has been a very long video, I think. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!